Hello and welcome to my next video. Today we will be making this bat, which not only can stand on its own, it can also stand upside down. Very fascinating. And it's also a print in place articulated bat. So that means that you don't need any supports for this model, and you don't have to do anything to make the wings move. You just have to print it exactly the way it is. So let's get started. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the wings. Why? Because the wings are cool. I like making the wings. They just look cool. Okay, so we're going to start with a cylinder here from the shape library. I'm going to drag this over here. And I'm going to maximize the sides. And our numbers are going to be starting here, 5.84. Our width will always be what's facing you, this, going across, and the depth is going to be back. And the last thing I say is going to be the depth. So the width is going to be 70.15, 70.15, and the depth is going to be 80.88. Okay, now what I'm showing you here right now, all this stuff is, you can change it if you like, not an issue. Okay, changing any of these numbers is not an issue. However, you're going to need a certain size right here for this part right there. So keep that in mind. You can adjust it. You can make the wings bigger if you like, but this part right here needs to be a certain length, and we'll get to that later. So now I'm going to duplicate this, Control D. I'm going to move it over here. Nowhere in particular just yet, but eventually I'll show you exactly where. So I'm going to change this to a hole. And now the dimensions for this one, going across first, because the height is exactly what we want. The width is going to be 45.19. And the depth going back is going to be 84.35. Actually, let's click over here. 84.35. Okay, so now what we want. Okay, so I want you to look at this. When I click on this circle, the center is this way and right there, right? Those two represent the center in different directions. I want this to also, actually, this is off right here. These numbers are off. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong circle because we're gonna make another one like this later on. So let's change this to 67.79. Sorry about that. I was looking at the next number. So 84. This one's good. 84.35 is good. Okay, but still the same. Okay, that's the center, and that's the center of this one. Now, this one, the center is there. We're just going to click back and forth to see where they are. I want this little square from the hole to be just underneath this one, which means now we got to move it a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, that's fine. And that's fine. Maybe a little bit more. Okay. Notice that it's a square and then a square. See? Square, then a square. Same thing over here. Square and a square. Okay, that's fine. That's what I want here. Now I'm going to duplicate this, Control D, and then I'm going to move it down. And here, these are the dimensions, and this is what I got mixed up with my last, the numbers. This one's going to be 45.19. There it is, 45.19. And this one is going to be 121. Let's see, I'm not sure which one I wanted to move, but let's just do that, 121.32. Okay, so this one, these two we're going to align now. I'm going to press the button on the mouse and drag both of these only. I'm going to click on the align tool. Oops, that one right there. I'm going to click on this because I don't want this to move. So if I click on it, it won't move. But the bottom one will now. Okay, they're aligned. Now I want this one touching that just barely. So I'll move that with the arrow keys. I'll move it up a little bit. That's fine. Okay, it doesn't have to touch. Obviously, if you look carefully at this, it's not actually touching, and I'm fine with that. Actually, maybe I'll move it a little bit more. It's touching. It's touching. Oh no. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this up 21 times with it's going to be 1 millimeter here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit the shift button. I'm going to hold it down and I move this up. And if you see at the bottom, it says 10.97. I'm just going to click on that and put negative, what's the number? Oh, 21. There, that's exactly where I want it. So now I'm going to duplicate this, Control D. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to move it this way to the right 35 times. So I'm going to hold the shift button and move this 35. Now I'm going to go up 17, but I'm going to hit the shift button, hold it down, and I'm going to go up. And I guess it's going to be negative 17 because that's the way it's working. And then now I'm going to use this arrow down here and I'm going to change it 8 degrees, negative 8 degrees. If I'm too close, it will skip 8, but I need to move the mouse farther away and give me 8 degrees. That's where I want it. Now I'm going to do the same thing for another area over here. So now I'm going to duplicate this, Control D, and I'm going to move it to the left 37. So I'm going to hold the shift button down, drag this with the mouse, and then negative 37. Enter. I wanted to go up by 4, so I'm just going to use the arrow keys and go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the last one is going to be 9 degrees. 9 degrees right there. That's where I want it. All right. And I think we're good with this. So I'm just going to select these 4 circles with that one. And then I'm going to group Control G. Of course, you can always press that one right there. That is the beginning of our wings. But if you notice, we have these indentations on these wings. So this is how we get those indentations. I'm going to start off with the cone. Now, I'm going to start this at 90. And let's make that 30. And then the last one. I wrote down 6, but I didn't really like the way it came out last time. So I'm going to do 10. Not this time, another time when I was practicing this. Okay, so now I'm going to make this a hole and I'm going to rotate it. Okay, so you've come to a part of the tutorial where I'm just going for artistic look. Nothing here is going to affect how this prints. So if you want to just make this look as cool as possible, you go right ahead, change whatever you want. However, when you see a red cube, that's when you should start paying attention to the numbers because that's going to affect the way this works. So right now, I'm just going to be turning this. And my goal here is to have these points all go in that direction. So I'm just going to move this around. At this point, I'm not going to tell you any numbers. I'm just going to like move it around and tell you what I'm thinking when I'm doing this. And here, I want this side to be at that little intersection right there. And I want this side to be at that intersection. So I'm just going to drag this over. In fact, I should just use this one right here. All right. So when I moved it over here, it moved from over here. So I'm just going to rotate this a little bit. And again, not going to be perfect, so don't even try it. I'm going to drag it back a little bit, make it wider. Okay, there you go. I'm almost there. And a little bit. How did I get there? Wider. I don't want the shadow of this thing to go past that part of the wing. So I think we're good here. Yeah. So I'm going to duplicate this, Control D. I'm going to move this over. And I'm going to rotate it again. This one looks like it's already going to be too big. So I'm going to move it back a little bit and I might have to shrink it. That's fine right there. I want this right here. Oh, I kind of like how it's like straight and pointy. I kind of like that, but just to keep it like this, I'm going to try to make it parallel to each other. So I'm going to move this over. Move this over. That's not bad. I'm going to move it another degree or 2. Oops, right there. And then I'm going to move it up with the arrow key because it's more precise. Ooh, should I use that? Yeah, I'm going to change this to 0.1 just because I want it to be a little bit closer. Okay, not bad, not bad. Okay, I'm going to do it again, Control D, and look, it anticipated that that's what I wanted. Even though I don't, that's okay, Tinkercad. Thank you for trying. I appreciate the effort. That's not bad. In fact, I like this more than this side. So I'm just going to move the arrow keys over a little bit. There you go. I like that. I am not going to mess with this section right here because I need it to be pretty solid. However, this side over here, I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm going to rotate. And again, this part, this is just a matter of making it look good. And you get to determine that, not me. So this is your option. I'm going to move it over with the arrow keys. Now look how it turned out over here. It had like, and I thought it looked like a claw of some sort or something like, you know, like a little knife of some sort. But you know what? Thought it looked cool. So I'm just going to, okay, I think we're good. Now the last thing I like to check, and this again is my preference, doesn't have to be yours. I want it to be a little bit less thick because this part right here is going to be thick. I want the bottom part to be less so. So I'm going to group all of them. And then I'm just going to drag it. I'm going to look from underneath and then drag it down a little bit. It's going to affect the top a little bit. Okay. That's what I want. Something not as thick. And how did it work here? Yeah, I knew it. I had to adjust it. It's okay. I'll adjust it quickly. That's not bad. Oh, but now it's making that hole right there. So I have to move this up. Not happy. Okay, I'll just move it up quickly and then move on with their lives. Right about there. I don't want that hole there, so I need to change that. I wonder if I could just rotate them all a little bit because I don't want that there. All right, arrow keys. Okay, that's good. Thickness is okay. All right. I think, actually, no, I want a little bit. I want these lines to be here a little bit more. So there, oops. And this one's going to be a little bit further back. Okay. Okay, I think I'm good. I'm going to group all of these and hit Control G. I like it. You know what would be better? If it were black. Cool. Okay, so now we're at the part where we're going to need the block. I need you to pay attention for this one, guys. So please pay attention. We're working on the hinge. That's this part right here, where if you get it wrong, it's not going to work and you'll just have a bat, which is not a bad thing. It's just not a great thing if the wings can't move. So with this cube, this is what we're going to do. We're going to change the dimensions. We're obviously going to start with the same dimensions as the wings, so 5.84. And then across here is going to be 9.43. And then 12.24. We're going to memorize those numbers. We're going to use them a lot. Okay, so if we do this correctly, this should be, yep, same height. Perfect. Okay. Now, if you drag this over here and it doesn't cover it, you're probably going to be in a bad situation. If it's like this, where it does, it's a little bit less. If you want to, you can undo all of this and then undo, click away, undo this, and then just move this a little bit higher so you can get the same thickness. Oops, I'm moving everything. Again, you don't have to. This is just for the sake of looks. Is it going to matter? Not really. This is still going to work, but I'm just going to move it up a little bit. Okay, and then this affects this one a little bit there. Okay, I'm going to move this out of the way because I don't need it there. I'm going to group it again. Still cool. Let's move on. Okay, so here's our box, or our cube. Now we need a cylinder. Of course, we're going to maximize the sides. Let's rotate this 90, mind you. I'm going to stay within the blue circle because I want it to be exactly 90. Now, here are the dimensions. Of course, we want the height to be 5.84, 5.84. And we also want the width to be 5.84, 5.84. And the depth is going to be that magic number, 12.24. Yay. All right. Now, let's move this. Okay, so this is how you align the two. You look at the center, okay? You see that line right there? That's the center. You want this one to be at the center mark. Now, you can't really see it, so now you're going to have to go back. Is it there? It really does look like it's there. Now, is it? Is it really? little bit more. One more time. Did I get it? Okay, centered. Great. Now we need a sphere. I'm going to drag this over here. I'm going to maximize the sides. I'm going to hit Shift, drag this down, and then right about here, I'm just going to change it to 5.5. If you did it correctly, all the sides are now 5.5. Yay! Amazing. Let's move on. Okay, now let's focus on this thing right here. I want, by the way, this is a faster way of doing this. I want this to be the center of my focal point. So I'm going to drag this, and there you go. This is now the center. I'm going to use the arrow key so that this center is inside of, well, it's going to go over right there. That's center, but I don't want it there. I'm going to move it over one more time. There. Okay, now I'm going to move this up. I'm going to put control and arrow up. I'm going to move it 0.3. Mind you, this is 0.1 right here. Okay, so I'm going to move this with the arrow, control and the up arrow. 1. I always do the wrong one. Command and up arrow. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's where we are. Actually, I'll move it down 1. Should I move down 1? That looks like it's centered. What do you guys think? I think it does look like it's centered. Okay, so just up 2. I'm going to do the same exact thing on the other side. I'm going to Control D, and then I'm going to hit Shift and drag it over here. Now remember, I want it to be centered. I think right there, and then I'm going to move it back 1. This is already moved up off the ground, which is perfect. And by the way, because the sphere can just build out slowly, you don't need supports for this part. So obviously, none of this needs supports. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to duplicate all of this because this part's done actually. So I'm going to hit Control D. We're going to move this. Let's move it out of the way here, away from everything else. There. Now we're going to change the dimensions of each one of these because this is the part that's going to allow us to make a hole inside of the bat so they can move. So that's what we're making now. Okay, so let's start with the cube. The cube, let's see where I am right now. We made that. Okay, now the cube is going to be the height, 6.12, and the width is going to be 11. And in the back over here is going to be 13.27. Now, for me, now that I know that I've finished that part, I'm going to make it transparent to remind me, hey, I'm done with that section. Now the cylinder. That's the orange part. Okay, so the cylinder, the height is going to be 6.22 and the width 6.9. So I actually wanted to go in this direction. So I'm on purpose clicking this one in the corner. 6.9. Okay, that's on purpose. I want it to be, it allows the movement to be greater up there. Okay, so that's the deal. And now the depth is going to be 13.27. Enter. Now, look at how I select these two. This one's already selected, the cylinder. I'm going to hit Shift. I'm going to hold the Shift button down and click on that. Click the letter L. That's to align. I'm going to click this one over here in the back. That way it doesn't move. And now the cylinder is going to move. Okay. Now they're aligned. Okay, good. Now the sphere. Both of them actually. The sphere is going to have a height of, I'm going to hit Shift and drag this up right here. And then I'm going to hit 5 point, where's my number here? 5.77. It should make all the sides 5.77. Okay. Theoretically, that should be it. So this one I already have changed. This one I have changed. But you know what I didn't do? Is this one here. So again, Then I'm going to go 5.77. I'm going to hit enter. One thing I did not do, and I should right now, I'm going to make this, okay, so I'm going to click on the sphere. Now with my arrow key, I'm going to move this out 1, 2, and over here on this side, same thing. Click on the sphere, 1, 2. Okay, last part, actually no, there's 2 more parts. So here is the next one, the wedge. I'm going to move over. Okay, I clicked on the wedge. Now I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Now here are the dimensions for the wedge. Well, make a hole first. Okay, the height is going to be 7.79. 7.79. Yay. The width is going to be 11. And the depth, 13.27. Hopefully you remember that from the last time, 13.27. I'm going to move this on top of here. I'm going to click the letter W and make sure I hover over that side I like. I'm going to click the letter D now. Mind you, this is selected, so this is going to move up a little bit. There you go. Now I'm going to align. So wait, let me move this. I'm going to click the letter W and click on the regular work plane. I'm going to align this here. So I'm going to select both of these. I'm going to drag the mouse over both of them. I'm going to click the letter L for align, and I don't want this one to move. So I'm going to click here and then center and center. Okay. If this worked out, it should fit over this perfectly. So I'm going to group this. Mind you, I drag the mouse over both of these or all of these and click Control G. Now let's see if this worked. Actually, we're missing one more step. Now this one, oh my goodness, this was so annoying. 13.27 for this cube. And I believe it was it 3? 3. And this is going to be 1. Okay, so let's make sure I'm dragging this over here. Actually, no, you know what? I know this is going to be weird, but it's going to be 0.3. And hit shift. It's so hard to control this thing. So I'm going to go over here. And you know what I need to do? I need to rotate this 90. That's what I want right there. Is it touching the ground? It is not. I'm going to click the letter D. I'm going to align this with these right here. L. And at this point, it doesn't really matter because these things are already set. So it's 2 objects. Is this 13.20? Yeah. So let's try it again. I'm going to click L, centered. It's centered already. It doesn't look like it's centered. Oh, I found a mistake. This one is not. You see how this sphere is sticking out? This sphere should be sticking out, but it's not. So I'm going to undo that. Oh yeah, this center line for the sphere should not be there. That's so weird. So I'm going to move the arrow key that way. Remember? 1, 2. That's better. Whoa, that scared me for a second. I'm going to group all of these, Control G. Now this one should be centered. So L, right after selecting both of these. There you go. I'm going to make this one now a hole. Now let me tell you, before I put this in, my bat would not move its wings until I put this little thing in there. I know some of you are like, that doesn't make sense. Mind you, what I'm doing here is I'm trying to give it a little bit more space. So where this line and this line almost meet, that's what I want. So after I added this part right here, then when I printed it, it worked. And I was so happy because the wings finally moved without me having to break things. Now here's the final. Whoa, I messed that up. I'm going to align both of these, L and center. Hey, where did my spheres go? Where did the spheres go? Oh, I made a mistake. My bad. And there. Okay. I didn't group these. This has to be grouped. Control G. Good. Okay. It's red. So I'm going to align now. Here we go. This is the point where you have to check very carefully that you followed all the steps. How do we know? Because from this angle, this outline should not touch this right here. But you see here, this red part means that it's going through and it would get stuck. So how do you select something that's on the inside? You select both of them, and then you select the part you don't want, and now you only have the inside shape. So now I'm going to move with the arrows, or with the arrow keys on my keyboard. There. I'm so glad that happened. See, this is why you check, because you want to make sure nothing is touching. And technically, you want it to be in the very center, and I think that's it right there. This is why you check, people. Now, right there is a very small area, so this tells me I need to lower this, and this is exactly why we're doing this, but let me check other places just to make sure I'm only going to be doing this one time. Okay, nothing's going to be touching that. Now, if you don't take precaution with this part in particular, your wings will not move at all, and you'll be very upset. Trust me, I know. Okay, so now what I want to do is this one here, I want to move it down. Okay, so I'm going to ungroup that part. Ungroup again. Good. Now I'm going to click the letter D. Now it's not touching up here, and now it is not touching down there. Okay, so now, same thing over here. Click the letter D, not touching this part right here. Some of you are probably thinking, but it's touching here. No, this part has a block in its way. Nothing's gonna be there. This is where it matters, right there, and also down here. I think we're good to go. So very important, you have to group these things. This one, I'm gonna hit shift in that one, shift in that one, shift and that one and that one. I'm going to group it. Okay, very important at this point that you do not move these away from each other. They have to be together this whole time. So I'm going to select both of them, and then I'm going to be dragging this over here. So now I'm going to zoom in. All right, so I'm just going to make it go right about there. There's no set time or set anything here. So, okay, we're good. We're good to go. If I need to adjust that later, remember, don't let these get separated. Now we're actually going to work on the wing, actually the body of the bat. So get ready for that. It should go quickly, but we're going to do that in the next part of this video. Okay, there'll be part 2. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That way you get notified whenever I drop a new video. Okay, have a good day.